So today I'll be talking about some stuff that I learned from this class or like workshop, program, course, whatever. It's called Living Deeply, and a couple years ago I started, maybe like a little over 2.5 years ago, maybe, or something like that. This is my, like, it's because I joined in the middle of the first one. This is like the fourth section I'm in, because the first time I joined, even though it was only half of the year, I still joined a section. So this is from the past. And then there was some stuff that was a practice, which was called like chametz. Like, according to the Jewish holiday of Passover, you have to see what is your like stuff that you have to get rid of, and from ego. And then I'll talk a little bit about what in ASCA, there's adult survivors of child abuse, and I learned a lot from that program when I did it a couple years ago, and I wrote some notes on it, and it was like about parents doing their best, really, and it was on a certain step. They have a lot of steps. This is step 19. And they have like each one has also practices for working with a professional. So when in that Living Deeply course, it was the saying that I got was, stand aside from this congregation and I shall consume them in an instant. They fell on their faces. And it's from Bamidbar, Numbers 17:10. And it's about betraying trust and disrespecting people, being behavior that I really dislike, but I just like seeing people do it because they need credit or approval. It makes me feel unsafe, so it's like surrendering, letting go of the burdens, the controls, is starting to recognize like what is the relationship with God at that moment, love or fear. So this is what I was writing then, but I'm like speaking about it also, like how it is. So I'll say first actually the second part. So I'm letting you know I'm going second first, which is the identity. Who am I and what's my role? And then from there, what's our congregation, right? So then there's anxiety around being alone, disappointing someone, feeling unworthy without validation from the external, and also disapproval. So fear of what's to come, the transition period, vulnerability, not honoring it enough, and hurting ourselves through others. Maybe letting go of what hurts us, whether it's people, congregation, groups, and then kind of being a ballerina of the loving kindness that can be for us and others till we don't know the difference, because it's all safe. And not wanting to carry those burdens, those rocks, and weeding projects again and after I've done so much. I don't want that negativity, that people want to let go of onto me either. So like when I take out all those weeds that I'm projecting onto people that I don't want to admit I'm letting grow in myself, I also won't be allowing other people to, with their weeds that they're letting grow in themselves, when they're being dishonest with their self, I'm not going to be able to really accommodate that. So sometimes we need to just like slow down, and sometimes we need to speed up. And now I'm going to talk about my chametz, like, because that goes into where, what causes me not to be able to slow down or speed up. On Passover, we don't eat leavening, like inflated foods like breads and stuff that rise. So like flatbread or like cracker style, depends on the culture, but really like shouldn't be cooked more than a certain amount of time. You can look it up. It's called matzah, if you don't already know. So overwhelm, not saying no, anxiety around death, lack of discipline, lack of purpose really, and then it means like meaning I'm not balancing enough meaning, discipline, and fulfillment in my life. There could be anger, being right, feeling not chosen, believing I'm being tricked or used or deceived, feeling unworthy of a faithful, loyal partner, getting stuck in an emotional home of denial and hopelessness that turns into a fearful panic, preparation for purity, finding it and getting rid of it, stopping it, regretting it, committing not to ever do it again with the help of the divine. So that's about like teshuvah, returning, right? Returning to purity. So we find it, the weed, and we get rid of it. So, for example, I wrote some stuff under, like, but that came out of this practice, but I want to say a comment, like, just right now. How could I be more pure? Not need someone else that I have a meeting with to make me feel special or safe. Stopping that I wanted them to make me in the past, in our meetings in the past, There have been times I wanted them to make me feel special and safe, and then regretting my intentions of basically using them a little bit. Like, yeah, like, it doesn't feel good. I need God's help so that I can make myself feel special and safe more. So we could constantly be like purifying ourselves with little like the way if you drop some people like, you know, they drop something and then they want to use it, they like put a quick fire on it just to purify it if it fell on something dirty, or some people wash it off with water. It depends on how and what you want to sterilize, but usually we have a way to like keep maintaining that. So we can do that with our intentions and other areas as well. Then so for me, I had something I wrote back then. It was not forgiving my father for being unprotected, insensitive, insecure, survival mode, hogging all the credit, greedy for the good stuff, persecuting, threatening, controlling, dictating, tyrannical, thoughtless, compassionateless, unloving, cruel, disregarding, exploitative, unfair, I wrote cruel again, condemning, judgmental, bullying, punishing, mean, abusive, dishonest, stuck, aggressive, irresponsible, jealous, unhealthy, and stuck in superior, not stuck in, but like fixated, superior, inferior paradigm. And fear of silence and rest is something that came out for me, of where I could be more pure, and overeating to soothe myself, doubting godly energy in God, not asking for what I want, and putting up with low love. Low love, I mean like really like, because I'm a convenience, and disrespect. And I'm going to now talk about what I said about step 19 in ASCA, adult survivors of child abuse. Just a bit of cuticle, it's low. They see themselves away. So we have a compassion for the human condition, and we're an extension of that view that they see themselves, right? And they can't give what they don't have. An era where outside provision was valued more than the inside provision, and the gratitude and humility for the elderly or advanced perspective was, you know, we relived it. We take it personal. The walls, somebody wrote that the walls on their scars were never taken down for them to heal. So they just never felt safe, right? Or special enough to get support. So it's like taking everything personal. And then a blind man can't see us, and a leader should lead by example. It gave me strength by not being my strength, rather forcing me to find that strength within. For example, someone couldn't lift me up and themselves, right? You get what I'm saying? Like my father couldn't lift himself up, he couldn't lift me up too, even though I was a little child. So there's no justified resentment. We learn skill, each of us in these positions learn skills and independence, so that we realize we may not have learned them if we had stayed in the familiar or the small. Others didn't know better. They had needs from us that we weren't even aware of, and others allowed us to carry all the parts of themselves that they were ashamed of. You know, where they felt judged, scared, they gave us freedom once they gave us the freedom to judge them and shame them. They put it into us that if we were going to judge that area, we were going to judge ourselves, right? They put it onto us. It wasn't safe to have it. And so once we shed it, that's what projection is, right? That we're not willing to be that role, then they never get to experience, because they didn't get the chance yet, but after that they get to experience what it's like to not judge that. Instead of asking us not to judge it, they get to experience not judging it. And they had so much anxiety, right? Like they didn't learn to feel safe or accepted enough, so special, right? So that they couldn't lead by example. And I will finish with talking about belonging and identity. It's easy to reject actual communities by jumping to universal instead of facing the non-abstract feelings of belonging or not belonging, where we lose identity, you know, and we might think it's spiritual integration, but we have bodies, we have histories, and greatness is being encompassing and hearing the ignored, remembering the forgotten, expanding, finding what's missing. No favoritism, rather a real love that can see others as sisters and brothers, and parents turning toward their kids in the heart, the mind, the body, and the spirit. So all these weeds that are being projected on others that we just sort of like garden ourselves, right? And yearning, aligning. I like the word ambit, like ambition. So ambiting is like to bunny hopping, I feel like. Ambulance, like fast, right? Ambiting toward that which we want will bring us purpose and peace and passion to be part of. So just like yearning, aligning, and then ambiting. Like pausing. And I'm going to do that. I'm going to say, so that's what belonging and identity does. I'm saying the yearning for belonging and identity. So yearning. I want good, soft affection. I want, right? We go to I want. And then aligning with identity. I'm somebody who could get it from. Why? Because, for example, using the practice earlier, am I going to make them feel special and safe? Am I going to share my affection? Am I just going to like start loving my body, touching myself with a big hug, like, right? So aligning with an identity of I need to bring more affection into my life, more specialness, more safety. And then finally, ambiting. So going toward it. I think a way to be affectionate with my whole body and to feel special and soft is to enjoy a movement for life video that I have. And then I'll have no agenda when I go out after that. So hopefully that is the right thing to do. I hope that I'm making the right move, and I will hopefully talk on similar topics tomorrow. Thank you. Bye.